and the Elite League and the players and people like Neil Russell and everyone in Belfast, obviously, they do a really good job. All teams do a good job, and I'm just giving a few examples. So I wish that was more the focal point when people do come a-calling from the other side of the pond.
Okay, final question. I kind of left the biggest hockey question till last. And it's Section N drummer at Rusty 9. And he's said, can you ask Murph to start pronouncing Vekwa properly? It fries my head. That's not quite how he says it. It's pronounced Vekwa, not Vekshwa or Vekshio, or however you say it.
The way I pronounce
I don't know who's right.
Well, the way I pronounce it is straight from a colleague of mine who's Swedish. We work together at ESPN. He now works in Sweden, does some work around the Swedish Hockey League, so he's told me how to say it, but maybe I'm trying to say it like a Swede and it's coming across wrong. But I don't just decide on a phrasing, whether it's a name or a city. I definitely do my homework. So you can tell, was it Section N drummer? I apologize, and I'll look into it again. Unfortunately, the Lakers were eliminated in the quarterfinal stage, despite the fact they were the top team in Sweden in the regular season. So he doesn't have to get his head fried for the rest of the playoffs, because I won't be able to say that name until next year.
I remember our first ever player interview on the Purple Army podcast was in fact Liam Reddick's. It was one of the questions. It was one of the questions we asked him, and we're not actually convinced he actually pronounced it properly. But there we go. So we took our lead from him, and then we got corrected a little bit down the line. But
well, I've heard about 17 different phrases. So, like, I asked a colleague of mine who works in Sweden, is Swedish, and I actually call him a lot or Skype him a lot because I'm doing like 50 odd Swedish Hockey League games this year. So there's obviously names of teams, players, sponsors that come up that. I'm not a Swedish speaker, so I definitely do my homework. So I apologize if that's fried your head.
I was going to ask you very quickly about that, Murph. I mean, I watch as many SHL games as I can. The preparation that you put in, and I'm not just blowing smoke towards you, it's incredible. I mean, you're on the mark every time. I struggle sometimes to watch a hockey game, even a clan game. I know who's doing what any particular time. How much preparation do you put into any particular game in terms of names, positions, stats, everything else? How long does that take you?
Yeah, it's like, so a game day, I'm doing a game tomorrow for Lunda Brynäs. So I would be like, the game is at 6:15 our time, 7:15 in Sweden. But my day will start at 9 a.m. and it'll finish at, 10 p.m. So I'll be going over all my notes, making sure nothing's changed with a player. I have notes on all the teams because obviously at this point now, I think as of tomorrow, it'll be like my 40th SHL game, 42nd NHL game or SHL game of the year. So for London Brynäs, I will have done a few times. So I'll have all my notes. I'll go through all that, but then I'll go back through things and see if there's anything I missed about where a player's been or maybe something he did earlier in the year, milestones. Who their brother is. Obviously, we all know Joel Lundqvist. His brother is the starting goaltender for the Rangers, Henrik Lundqvist. So nice ties like that. But yeah, like it's not just showing up and doing the game, and it's certainly not an hour's prep. It's a full day. And I've had people say to me, "Oh, you're lucky. You're only doing 2 or 3 things a week." Yeah, but it's 2 or 3 double shifts a week, as opposed to maybe working 5 days a week in a different job. So yeah, no, I'll be at it all day tomorrow. And I remember a few years ago doing an SHL playoff game that went 3 overtimes. We saw that game in, was it Norway a few weeks ago that went like 6 overtimes?
I think it was 8 overtimes.
8, yeah. So yeah. I was in a situation of my own a few years ago where it went 3 overtimes. So basically 2 games on the one night. And, when you're doing it on your own without a co-com, by the 4th or 5th overtime, you're going, boy, maybe I should spend 75 hours on this prep. But, yeah, no, I usually...
Anecdotes.
Yeah, I mean, a full day for a game. I like to tell a story, too. The Swedish Hockey League is new to people, most viewers. But we've had some nice moments this year where, like, an NRL fan, especially now that I'm doing some rugby, an NRL fan will go, I didn't even know about this, so we're going to go to Stockholm for a weekend. Or we had an Elite League fan who was like, oh, I had you guys for the Elite League, but I kept you for the other hockey, and they went to Stockholm too, I think. So there are people that are, the SHL is actually benefiting from being on TV in the UK and Ireland by, even if it's just 10 people going over there and buying a jersey and buying tickets. So it's just that what we talked about earlier, if someone stumbles across it. And there have been people in the past say, oh, well, everyone knows about Premier and it's hockey. Yeah, but there's NASCAR and there's NRL and there's MMA and there's football and there's GAA. So there is a chance for someone from another sport to come across something like the Swedish Hockey League and say, I've always fancied going to Stockholm. I'm going to go and I'm going to see a game and have a weekend of it. And that has happened this year, and I could show you the tweets and the notes, but it's nice to see that people are enjoying it. So it makes a full day of prep worth it if someone's actually enjoying it.
Ray?
We'd be remiss not to mention that some hockey we will get to see in Britain in the next couple of weeks is GB in action in the World Championships, which Belfast is hosting. GB, they've suffered some last gasp heartbreak these past couple of years. Murph, do you think with home advantage they'll finally get over the line and get promoted again to 1A?
Well, if they don't get it done this year, it's hard to see them doing it in the next few years because, the home ice advantage and some of our star players are, and this is no knock, but guys like Weaver and Clarkey, they're getting older. This is as good a team as they're going to have for the next few years. Home ice advantage, the SSE Arena, the work that Mark Brooks and Thornton and Shane Johnson and James Glover and everyone will do there, it will be a first-class tournament. So I think, last year on the last day to the Ukraine, the year before, I think it was Lithuania. I mean, it's just heartbreaking, and Paul Adey and I live it too because we're thinking, and Paul played for GB, right, and he played at a higher level, so he wants them to get back to where we believe they should be, and they should definitely be back in 1A, so let's hope that it gets done. I think they'll be there on the last day, and let's hope it's a different outcome than the last two.
And I think that kind of takes us nicely to the end of this show. I think we've went way over our time as usual, but just want to say, Murph, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a long time coming, but it was great to finally have you on and chat about some hockey.
Raymond, thank you, man. I've been on another podcast with you many moons ago. I remember it, so I appreciate it. I always enjoy talking to you when I've been to Braehead. And let's end on a very positive note. I think the Elite League is very strong on the ice. There's positive times ahead. The work around, the charity and the nice things that happen for people like Sebastian in Manchester and Blake in Belfast. Let's key on that. And also good luck to Dundee, Cardiff this weekend, and Belfast, Sheffield. And let's hope for a great weekend of hockey.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see an EIHL barn soon, Murph.
Yeah, hopefully. I've been to 2 games this year up in Belfast. Like I said, I do want to continue to see hockey, and unfortunately, if I don't have a team here, that's my closest one, so I enjoy going and see the Giants play.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Murph. Good to talk to you.
So that's it for another week. We'd like to thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Goldstone Wealth Management. We'd also like to thank Aaron Murphy for taking the time to chat with us. And also to everyone that sent tweets and messages in. On a personal level, I'd like to thank Raymond Graeme for giving me the night off, although I'd like to have chatted with Aaron. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can find us on Twitter at Purple Army Pod, Facebook Purple Army Podcast, or on the forum www.purplearmy.rocks.